Hi guys, Maikeru here. A lot of you have been asking me, what's good in the new Herblore update, what should I do for 120 Herblore, etc. Well, I found a quick and easy 120 Herblore method, which I think is the best new potion with the update, and it gives you over 4.5 million experience an hour, and that is the Powerburst of Vitality. So with that being said, let's get into the video. Starting off as always with the requirements for the Powerburst of Vitality. All requirements are boostable, which means you could stand in the Combat Academy, pulse scores can boost you up, which means essentially you can do this at an earlier level if you want to. 105 Herblore is needed to create the potion, but there is 2 upgrades to creating the potion. At 107 Herblore you create the potion quicker, which is super helpful, and 109 Herblore you create the potion cheaper. It requires a lesser dose of Saradomin Brews and 1 less poison slime in order to make every potion at 109 versus 105. So I definitely would advise getting to level 109 or at least boosting yourself up there in order to make these potions cheaply. If I was going to recommend anything, I'd recommend doing overloads to 109 so you can stock up on like 5 to 6k Elder overloads or something. Then that'll give you a nice base amount of overloads, and then the rest of your 120 journey can just be done quickly and easily with this method. Because you still do want some overloads for PVM and stuff like that, right? So yeah, my advice would be overloads to 109, then this to 120. I insta-bought all of the ingredients for this, and I noticed one thing. You can only buy 1,000 poison slime an hour, and you can only buy 1,000 Saradomin Brews as well. The good thing about Saradomin Brews is you can buy 4 doses and decant them into 3 doses, because at 109 when you're making the potion cheaper, you only need a 3-dose Saradomin Brew. This means you can buy 1,333 brews every 4 hours, and 1,000 slime every 4 hours, and this is the thing that hinders you, right? Like when you're making overloads and stocking up all the super potions for the overloads or supremes or whatever you're making, they are stuck at a 1,000 buy limit. This is no different. This does have a 1,000 buy limit, and this is what holds the methods back a little bit. But if you left an offer in for a week, you can then crack out, like 60 mil XP and it'll all be fine. But on the bright side, the Primal Extract, the Powerburst Files, and the Rock Towers have very high buy limits, so they're easy to get a hold of in bulk. It's only the Saradomin Brews and the Poison Slime that are a bit annoying to buy. But even insta-buying all of this stuff, it cost me around 11k per potion to buy all of the required items. Pretty cheap, to be fair. I'll go more into the GP per XP and stuff like that later on in the video. When it comes to my setup for this, you make 18 per inventory, so I just have 25 slime, 25 power burst potions, so I have more than enough of those. Then I just have the mixture of 3-dose brews, primal extract, and rock towels within my inventory. I also have the same in my yak. The reason why I've laid the yak out like this is instead of having, 10 brews, 10 rock towels, 10 primal extract or whatever, it's going to be laid out much better for you to withdraw it to continuously make the potions by withdrawing each potion at a time, essentially, just like you do with overloads. My worn inventory is the full Botanist outfit with the modified Botanist head. I have the Premier Club artifact in my pocket slot and a offhand with wires. When it comes to additional boosts, you can have the 6% avatar, the Scroll of Cleansing to save some money, Botanist outfit is another 6%, obviously I'm wearing that. Portable Well is 10%. If you activate the Premier Club artifact, you can get your 10% extra experience for an hour every day. Wisdom Aura is 2.5% more XP every day. And passive pulse score buffs for being in the Combat Academy World 84. You have a constant 10% XP boost from the pulse scores. All of this adds up heavily and makes this method even more OP. What I do for this method is I put the Power Burst Vial on number 2 on my action bar. The reason why it's on number 2 is I also have my preset bound to 2. So I click the bank, I press number 2, then I press number 2 for the Power Burst. It opens up the interface and I make it. You only have to click the well for the first make to get the well bonus. Then you can do it with your action bar the whole time. Another thing I do is drag the little summoning icon onto my action bar on number 3. Then if you right click, you want to make sure that your familiar interaction is take bob. So whenever you press that number on your action bar, you're taking from your bob to then take loads and loads of extra makes out of the yak to reduce banking to make more potions an hour. As you can see here, I was just sitting in World 84 Combat Academy, and I'd click the bank, I'd press number 2 again, open up the interface, press space, clear the interface, and just make them all. Then I'd just press 3 every so often to take from my bob and continuously make 18, then just refresh the inventory once 18 were done. I was getting nearly 1,800 experience per potion with all of my boosts. I was using Wise, Premier Club Artifact, 10% Pulse Score for being in World 84, 6% Avatar, 6% Outfit. Really, really good amount of experience every single make, and this actually took it up to 4.7 million experience an hour at my peak times. It's actually kind of crazy to think that you get this much XP doing this method, and the fact that it's actually very cheap as well. This much XP is crazy to think about anyway, because it's faster than overloads, but then with it being way cheaper on top of that, and no prep like overloads have a ton of prep, then it's just nuts. So how cheap are they? It cost me 11,306 GP to insta-buy all the ingredients that I showed earlier. I sold my potions at 1,037 GP each, so even if these crash to high heavens, you're only paying 1,000 extra per potion. But in the testing in this video, I spent 10,269 GP per potion. So if we're looking at the XP per potion base, it gives 1,150 XP by base. That would mean it's 8.9 GP per XP with no buffs. That's cheap anyway. Considering overloads are what, like 40 GP and XP right now? This is cheap as hell. I was getting 1,784 XP per potion with all of my boosts. So with all of my boosts, that's 5.75 GP per XP, and that is insanely cheap. That's not even including any procs I get from the well to make more potions, or any Scroll of Cleansing procs saving me 10% of my stuff as well. So with all of that factored in, it's probably looking at around 5 GP per XP, which is just nuts. That is so cheap. But with every method, obviously it has its pros and it has its cons, so I want to quickly speak about those. Obviously, the two biggest pros would be that it's cheap and it's super fast. And the two biggest cons, in my opinion, would be the fact that it requires 109 Herblore, which is a fairly high level, and the buy limits are very annoying. But then again, the buy limits are no different to overloads and stuff. It is 1,000 per 4 hours with all of those super pots, so it's not too much different to other methods. Two other pros is that it's very simple, it doesn't require any prep, it's just you buy the items, you make it. And it's actually pretty stable. What do I mean by that? I mean it's pretty stable because the pot isn't really worth much, so it can't really crash further than what it already is. And the items used for the potion are very easy to obtain. Poison Slime's the one that may spike the most, but even that's from frogs, the easiest ranch out of time thing to get, so it has to be fairly cheap. Then the Sara Brews, the Rock Towels, the Primal Extract, there's so many of that stuff in the game and it comes in at such a quick rate. So I really, really like that about this potion. My last con is that if you do this method, it means that you make less overloads for your personal use. This is why I advised going for 109 with overloads. That way you'll at least have a fair few thousand of them stocked up. Normally people end 120 Herblore with like 10,000 overloads or whatever and made all of those 10,000 up to elders, and then you'll have 120. So sadly this means you're going to have less. You're only going to have, like maybe 5k or something, but it's still going to be really, really useful to do this if you want to get it done quick, easily, and cheap. One last thing, I do want to give a good use for these potions. They're not great in PVM, but they are very, very good to disassemble. They give you tons of enhancing components and a decent amount of healthy components. On a regular basis, it can roll 1 or 2 of the uncommon components. And to be honest, I think this is the best source of enhancing components now, and healthy too, probably. Organic is one of the common components as well. That's another decent one as it's used in things like portable fairy rings and spirit tree rerouters, etc. So there's some decent components in this, and that makes them pretty okay, and will maintain a little bit of value because of the components. But for some reason, Jagex made these potions have 100 buy limit per 4 hours. So even though they're good components, you can only buy 100 of them. That kinda holds them back even more, so they will crash probably further than 1,000 GP, but that just makes them even better for components in the long run. Enhancing components are used heavily in augmenters, so they're a really good one. Healthy are decent for like Bite Into, Venom Blood, stuff like that. Let me know in the comments down below if you'll be using this method or not. I wish this was round when I got my 200 mil Herblore, dude. This on double XP is going to be over 9 mil experience an hour. That's just stupid. That being said, that is it for this video. Hopefully it did help. Give it a like if it did help. Subscribe if you're new for loads of future content all related to RuneScape 3. And until next time, see ya.